All right, and welcome back. Still sick, so still off camera. Still probably sounding a little funny. But anyway, we are going to go over China's Belt and Road Initiative and then talk about America, how we do. So how China goes around the world and how the U.S. goes around the world.
Welcome to our video on one of the most ambitious global development strategies in modern history, the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. Launched by China in 2013.
If you don't know about the Belt and Road Initiative, you should look it up. I think I have a couple videos on the channel about it, but there will be definitely more videos coming out about the Belt and Road Initiative also.
The BRI has rapidly evolved into a global movement that aims to reshape trade, investment, and infrastructure around the world. In this video, we'll explore what the BRI is, how it works, and its impact on the world economy. So, what exactly is the Belt and Road Initiative? Simply put, it's a massive infrastructure and investment project that seeks to create a global trade network that connects China to Asia, Africa, and Europe. Think of it as a modern-day version of the Silk Road, a series of ancient trade routes that once linked China to the rest of the world. The BRI has two main components: the Silk Road economic.
So I find that pretty cool that the Silk Road, they were connected to what they knew as the world back then, and now they're trying to do the same thing now, connect to the world. I like that as a philosophy.
Belt, a land-based route, and the 21st century maritime Silk Road, a sea-based route. Together, these routes cover over 60% of the world's population and 40% of global GDP. That's a huge area that's being transformed by Chinese investment. The BRI focuses on building infrastructure to facilitate trade, such as roads, railways, ports, and airports. China has poured billions of dollars into these projects, which benefit not only China, but also the countries along the way. According to estimates, the BRI could involve over $8 trillion in investment by 2049.
And I just saw something yesterday. I'll try to make a video on it after this, or maybe I'll try to put it in this video, where they said China has spent, I think it was $7 trillion upping up their technology since I think it was 2004, I think it was. And then they said that we had spent $7 trillion at that same amount of time bombing Afghanistan, Iraq, and I think they named like 2 other countries. So all this investment, China's putting it into the world, we're putting it into bombs.
Making it the largest infrastructure initiative in human history. One of the most significant parts of the BRI is the...
And imagine if we work together. If China's already willing to do all this, build all this Belt and Road and all this stuff, why couldn't we put in the same amount of money to do the same thing? They have all these bullet trains. We got like no trains. It's wild. And they're supposed to be the bad guys. The communists can't get nothing done.
The construction of transportation networks. For instance, in Kenya, China helped build the standard gauge railway, connecting the port city of Mombasa to Nairobi. This railway has dramatically reduced travel time, boosted trade, and created thousands of jobs. Another high-profile project is the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC, which includes roads, railways, and energy projects. CPEC connects China's Xinjiang region to the Gwadar port in Pakistan, creating a direct route for trade from the Middle East and Africa to China. The total cost of CPEC is estimated at $62 billion, and it has the potential to transform Pakistan's economy. In Sri Lanka, China financed the construction of the Hutchison port in Colombo, which is becoming a major hub for international shipping. The port is expected to handle 2.7 million TEUs, 20-foot equivalent units, annually, making it one of the largest ports in the region. But the BRI is not just about infrastructure. It's about creating trade corridors that can boost economic growth in participating countries. By improving connectivity, China is helping countries gain access to global markets. This is particularly important for development.
See, why we do tariffs and we try to restrict access to markets for the people that we consider bad or not, whatever. I don't know why we consider them, whatever we consider them, but China's going around helping develop nations, infrastructure, logistics. It's crazy, the stuff that we do. We're just bombing people. I guess we don't just bomb people, but we do a lot. We spend the same amount in bombing as they do in building. So,
developing nations, which may struggle with infrastructure and logistics. For example, in Pakistan, the Gwadar port has been developed into a major trade hub, potentially connecting Central Asia to the Indian Ocean. This opens up new economic opportunities for countries like Afghanistan and Kazakhstan, which can now export their goods more easily. With over 140 countries now involved in the BRI, China's reach has extended far beyond its immediate neighbors. Countries in Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America are seeing the benefits of improved infrastructure and trade connections. However, the BRI has not been without controversy. One of the main concerns is the level of debt that countries are taking on to fund BRI projects. Many of the nations involved in the BRI are borrowing large sums of money from China to fund infrastructure projects. This has raised concerns about debt traps, where countries may struggle to repay their loans, leaving them vulnerable to Chinese influence. Sri Lanka is a prime example of this. In 2017,
Chinese influence. Don't we want influence? Everybody wants influence. That's just part of moving around the world. You want to have influence so you can pay cheaper prices or make more communicate, like, what do you call it? Dang. Make more connections, not communications. Man, I was losing my words. I guess connections do come with communication or need communication.
Sri Lanka had to lease its Hambantota port to China for 99 years after struggling to repay loans. Critics argue that
Still, that doesn't seem so bad, 99 years that they're going to run it. We do way worse than that. We have been running lots of parts of Africa for hundreds of years now.
this is an example of how BRI projects can lead to China gaining significant strategic influence over countries. Some countries
But even if they didn't take it over, they're going to get strategic influence over countries just by helping them out like they are. Everyone's going to be happy about it. Oh, you gave us some stuff, yay.
have expressed their concerns over the lack of transparency and accountability in the BRI. Critics argue that Chinese-funded projects are often awarded to Chinese companies rather than local businesses, which means the economic benefits are not always felt by the local population.
That's crazy. That's exactly what the U.S. does. I'm going to do a video on economic hitmen here shortly.
Despite these concerns, many countries continue to embrace the BRI, seeing the benefits of improved infrastructure, trade, and economic development. The Chinese government has made efforts to address some of these issues, emphasizing the importance of sustainability and green development in its BRI projects. For instance, China is increasingly promoting the use of renewable energy in BRI projects, such as solar and wind energy. In Pakistan, a large portion of the energy projects under CPEC are focused on hydropower and solar power, helping to diversify the country's energy mix. The BRI also has significant implications for global trade. By improving infrastructure and reducing transportation costs, the BRI is helping countries access new markets and compete more effectively in the global economy. This is especially important for emerging economies that have historically faced barriers to trade. China's ambition doesn't stop with infrastructure. The BRI also includes digital infrastructure, such as 5G networks, e-commerce platforms, and smart cities. China is already working on building digital Silk Roads, which will connect countries through high-speed internet, cloud computing, and big data. This will enable businesses and consumers to interact in new and innovative ways, boosting trade and commerce. For example, in Ethiopia, Chinese companies are working on building smart cities that incorporate AI, IoT, and renewable energy. This is part of China's broader strategy to help countries leapfrog traditional development stages and embrace modern technologies.
Man, I've been saying that the U.S. should do that. Like, they want other people to develop at whatever their slow rate, this and that. Man, the world is the world. We're all people. Some people, like, in different places, develop different things, man. Just share.
Looking ahead, the Belt and Road Initiative has the potential to transform the global economy. If executed properly, it could create new economic opportunities, boost global trade, and lift millions of people out of poverty. However, the success of the BRI will depend on how countries balance the benefits of infrastructure development with the risks associated with high levels of debt and political influence. Transparency, sustainability, and local involvement will be crucial in ensuring that the BRI lives up to its promise. In conclusion, the Belt and Road Initiative is a powerful tool for economic development and international cooperation. While challenges remain, the potential for a more interconnected and prosperous world is within reach. As China continues to build bridges, both literal and figurative, the BRI will remain a key player in shaping the future of global trade and development. Thank you for watching this.
All right, China out here trying to make connections.
When Chinese President Xi Jinping launched the Made in China 2025 initiative. If you want to understand the magnitude of this program and just how successful it's been, Mitch Presnick, an American expat with over 30 years of experience in China, states the blunt truth. China invested $9 trillion since 2005 to achieve tech parity and build a brand new national infrastructure. In the same period, the US spent $9 trillion on military campaigns in Iraq and Afghanistan, with no peace dividend or economic flywheel effects. To help you understand the magnitude
$9 trillion in Iraq and Afghanistan. We could have just built huge cities there and they would love us rather than just dropping bombs. $9 trillion worth of weapons on them. It's crazy.
Of China's transformation, take a look at this graph, which documents the global shift in industrial production.
We'll finish this video. I'll make a video on this entire video later. I just wanted to put that part of the 9 trillion since 2005, which to me is wild. We don't have to be dropping bombs. We could be building things. Like China put $9 trillion into technology, he says. We could have done that. Now we're going to listen to the African Diaspora News Channel talk on similar subject.
Yes, thank you so very much, family. Now, unfortunately, the United States and the West has their messy hands all over the world in very private and public wars and beefs, including, believe it or not, our hands are involved. Our hidden hand is involved in the goings on of Sudan, in Congo, the DRC of the Congo, of course, West Africa. Certainly we were mess making in the Sahel. We're involved in a lot of the mess making going on throughout the Middle East. Our hands are involved in that proxy war with Russia and Ukraine. I mean, it's all over the place. Now, if you would, and you would think that would be enough, right? Well, it's not. We're mess making even as it relates to China and Taiwan. And I'm going to explain just who they are, those lands, in just a moment. But I want you to watch this very, very brief clip of a Chinese diplomat, former Chinese translator and government official, and currently, my understanding, is the director of the Center for China and Globalization, Mr. Victor Gallo. Very, very interesting gentleman. He was in about a 50-minute interview with Al Jazeera's Mehdi Hassan. This was a few months ago. I want you to watch this clip.
China is getting ready to invade Taiwan, isn't it?
There is only one China. Taiwan is part of China, and the government of the People's Republic of China is the sole legitimate government for the totality of China. The exact status between the two sides of the Taiwan Strait is the unfinished civil war back in 1949. If the separatists really want to push the edge of the envelope with the aid of some big country, for example, which wants to use Taiwan as a proxy in its own geopolitical rivalry against China, then wait until you see what will happen. Reunification will be achieved. Remember, back in 1945, when Japan unconditionally surrendered, a lot of people in Taiwan who originally came from Japan, they were the rulers of Taiwan at the time, they stayed behind because of the magnanimity of the Chinese nation. Now, several decades later, they account for about 10% of the local population in Taiwan. Now, if you really do your homework, you will realize that those die-hard Taiwanese separatists include many of these Japanese, Chinese.
But okay.
Okay, family, did you see that? That was kind of a heated exchange there, and we had to try to keep the clip very short. But you see where Mehdi Hassan sits there and makes it seem like that is something wrong with China for trying to make sure that China and all of its territory remains China, part of China. And we're sitting here, we, the United States, mess making and getting ourselves involved in the business of China and Taiwan. Now, I know those are two different names, but guess what, family? When you look at U.S. policy, and this is even confirmed by even some of the most suspicious geopolitical publications and groups and agencies such as CSIS, in this piece all the way back from 2017, it talks about here Rex Tillerson, which was president-elect at the time, Donald Trump's nominee for Secretary of State. He reaffirmed the U.S. commitment to Taiwan based on the Taiwan Relations Act, TRA, and the 6 assurances at his Senate confirmation hearing, right? He also indicated that he was not aware of any plans to alter the U.S. one China policy. Now, if you are confused and you're sitting here saying, well, why is it the United States is sitting here arming Taiwan, telling China to back off and all that? Guess what? Did you know that the United States current foreign policy recognizes Taiwan as part of China?
Stretching will not make you flexible, and it will.
The powers that be, our own government, depends on our stupidity and ignorance about our own politics.
I would say more ignorance, not necessarily stupidity, but that's what this channel is about. Informing people of all the different, issues that I can really think of from all the different angles that I can find, so that we're in the know. Get rid of this ignorance. But I don't think most people are stupid. Just ignorance is a big thing. Like miscommunication, miseducation, all that is real.
Our own policies, rules, and regulations, particularly geopolitically. Yes. Even in this piece here, which is meant to sound so confusing, when Rex Tillerson was being questioned about the U.S. one policy, China, and what and why does it exist, it talks about the fact that the United States, it says that when the United States moved to recognize the People's Republic of China, PRC, and de-recognize the Republic of China, ROC, in 1979, the United States stated that the government of the People's Republic of China was, quote, the sole legal government of China. Sole meaning the PRC was and is the only China, with no consideration of the ROC as a separate sovereign entity. Let me hit my gavel on that. Now, you can go also to the United States website and get information about that as well. But of course, it's buried, it's hidden. And of course, mainstream media, legacy media doesn't emphasize that. They make us think that they're actually separate when our technical governmental U.S. policy acknowledges them. Well, now the government of the United States is trying to make and say that there's a difference between acknowledging it and recognizing it. You see how devilish
Semantics.
That is? Further down in here, it says that the United States does not, however, give in to the Chinese demands that it recognize Chinese sovereign territory over Taiwan, which is the name preferred by the United States, since it opted to de-recognize the ROC. Instead, Washington acknowledged the Chinese position that Taiwan was part of China. I'm going to say that again. Instead, Washington acknowledged the Chinese position that Taiwan was part of China. Anything else after that, family, is them trying to confuse us to justify invading yet another country. Now, you may say, why? Because we're trying to make to cause division so that we can weaken China, infiltrate China.
Right. So while we try to cause division, China's going around the world trying to bring people together and make connections.
China. And because we're jealous of their economic and technological gains, and because we see their position not only.
And then again, just before this, I put on that their economic and technological gains, they've invested $9 trillion since 2005 in their technology. We invested $9 trillion since 2005 in destroying Afghanistan and Iraq.
As it relates to their position, superior economic and technological position as it relates to the United States. But because we see the major inroads that they have throughout most countries around the world, we're trying to make with someone that we consider in our government to actually technically be a part of China. What is it? Why is it that it's even our business? Now, here's a problem I have. As recently as just a few months ago in 2024, at the time of this airing, watch this headline from Reuters. Biden approves $567 million in defense support to Taiwan.
Damn.
White House says. Vice President Joe Biden on Sunday approved $567 million in defense support for Taiwan, the White House said, the latest move by the United States to boost the island's military in the face of rising tensions with China. That's not our business, family. And shout out to Mr. Victor Gallo that told Mehdi Hassan's funny looking self, if you do your homework, when he said that if we are, since Taiwan is a part of China, they don't get to just decide, well, I'm not going to be a part of China no more. No, you don't get to do that. And Mehdi Hassan sitting here trying to make it look like it's some kind of sin or crazy is absolutely outrageous. He's right. And when the man wrote down that a lot of the folks that are separatists in Taiwan were actually the former rulers or oppressors, which were folks that have Japanese lineage, when he made that clear and said that they have to affirm using their process who they are and that they are one China policy family, we can't think that's outrageous. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. My name is Vicky Dillard, beloved. Be sure to check out my school products and services on my website.
There you go, Vicky Dillard. We got one more video. I'll just go straight to it from here. Fill this out. And so this is how the United States likes to go around the world making our connections and whatnot. Oops, wrong button. Thought I was being dramatic. Dun, dun, dun.
We economic hitmen have managed to create the world's first truly global empire, and it's basically a secret empire. We do it many ways, but principally, we identify a country that has resources our corporations covet, like oil, arrange a huge loan to that country from the World Bank or one of its sisters. The money never actually goes to the country, it goes to our own corporations to build big infrastructure
And that what they were saying China was doing?
projects in that country that help a few very wealthy people, but don't benefit the majority of the people who are too poor to buy electricity or have cars to drive on the highways, and yet they're left holding a huge debt that they can't repay. So we go back at some point and say, you know, you can't pay your debts. Give us a pound of flesh. Sell your oil real cheap to our oil companies. Vote with us in the next critical UN vote.
Political influence
Allow
again.
us to build a military base
Right.
in your backyard. Something along these lines. And when we fail, the jackals go in and either overthrow or assassinate these leaders. And if the jackals fail, as they did in Iraq, then we send in the military. I don't think the failure is capitalism. I think it's a specific kind of capitalism that we've developed. We've created what I consider a mutant, viral form of capitalism. And
It's so silly. There's only one kind of capitalism. It's a money-based society. If you organize your society through money, if people want to hoard it, it's just going to mess up society for the people who don't want to hoard it, who are just trying to live or trying to share and whatnot.
this mutant form of capitalism, which I think is really a predatory form of capitalism, has created an extremely unstable, unsustainable, unjust, and very, very dangerous world. I've met a lot of terrorists. I've interviewed them for books. I've never met one who wanted to be a terrorist. They're desperate people. If we want to get rid of terrorism, we must get rid of the root causes. That can't.
But then who's a terrorist? Like, if you go to Afghanistan and Iraq and ask them, they're going to think we're the terrorists.
Sir, that is destroying our whole system. Because I think it's really important that we understand today we cannot have homeland security unless we understand that the whole planet is our homeland.
See, that sounds more like China's Belt and Road Initiative, right? We all need to take care of each other and understand that what's downstream from me is you, or I might be downstream from you, right? If you put something in the water, I'm going to have to, drink it at some point. So it's all one world, and we all need to act like it. And sitting here, yeah. So, there you go. I just want to show some Africa, China, and America, how the world is being either conquered or connected from across the spectrum.